The CEO's wife insisted on mentoring that fresh out-of-school intern herself. She told me, "Don't overthink it. I just see potential in him." Yet, the usually serious and mature lady started wearing pink dresses and tying her hair in high ponytails. She even went MIA with the intern for 48 hours on our third wedding anniversary. While people were going crazy looking for her, she posted a picture on social media of herself on a carousel, holding cotton candy. Caption: "Found pure happiness here. Because of you. Due to this, the company lost a big project and I lost my wife. I slipped the divorce papers into the intern's promotion report and handed it to her. Without even glancing at them, she signed and said, with Tom's abilities, he could easily be a VP. I calmly gave her my resignation application, agreeing, so I'm stepping down. Lisa and I were financially independent. I only mentioned the marital home in the divorce agreement. I had planned to talk at home later, but then Tom showed up at the wrong time. Larry, HR asked me to discuss my promotion with you." HR was torn between Lisa, the CEO, and me, the VP. I didn't give him a hard time like before when he was acting suspiciously clingy to Lisa. I just calmly accepted his promotion report, "Go on your way." Tom, however, plopped himself down on the office couch. "This office sure is big. Larry, don't you think it won't be long before I'm working here too?" he said, tapping the couch back with confidence like he was sure he'd be the new owner of this office. I ignored him. I directly called security, sent 2 people over. "There's someone refusing to leave my office." Tom noticed I didn't personally kick him out to let him act like a drama queen. His expression subtly shifted. Then he tried that cheeky tone again. "Is that all the patience you've got, Larry? Just because I sat down, you call security, and that's going to upset Lisa if it gets out." I didn't bother responding. Since he joined the company, Tom's attention's been all over Lisa and he hasn't been doing any real work. To everyone, he's playing the innocent card, and he seems to love messing with me. Even though we had a secret marriage, there were some moments that hinted at our relationship. But 8 years of subtlety couldn't match Lisa's blatant favoritism towards Tom in half a year. Colleagues were already shipping them as a couple. Luckily, I didn't care anymore. Security came charging in but got cold feet when they saw it was Tom camping in the office. A mediocre intern that everyone feared, thanks to the confidence Lisa gave him. "Larry, is there some misunderstanding here?" I looked at the timid security officials. In a stern voice, "Can't even figure out your duties in security? Have you thrown the company rules out the window?" Tom, on the other hand, was chill as ever. "Larry's got authority issues, nothing new. Lisa said once I'm in charge, things will change. Everyone just needs to hang in there a bit longer." His brazen challenge made the 2 security guards lower their heads, avoiding the mess between us. They misunderstood. Even if I was out of favor, I was still the company's second in command. I took off my glasses. "I can see the issue. I'll have HR reevaluate the security department's value tomorrow." Hearing this, the security officers started sweating buckets. Tom's grin faltered slightly. He didn't expect such a firm response from me. He had no choice but to leave, covering for security's sake. Once I calmed down, I headed to Lisa's office. She looked up slightly. "What's up?" Seeing her cold, annoyed expression stung. But I stayed composed and asked, "Are you just going to let Tom run wild here?" Lisa snapped back. "Can you not make it sound so bad? Tom's fresh out of school. What harm could he mean? What about you? Stop being the big guy picking on the little guy, always targeting him." I scoffed in disbelief. What about his actions screams innocence? That leeching demeanor only Lisa would see as true love. Her face darkened. "He's mine to deal with, not yours. If there's nothing else, leave." I searched her eyes for any love, finding only coldness. Sighing, I moved closer, placing some documents on the table mechanically. "Here's Tom's promotion file. HR can't decide, you sign it." Our co-run company usually didn't matter who signed. But today I didn't decide on my own. Lisa paused, glancing at me. "Why can't you sign?" I gave a valid reason. "You know Tom's not up to par under me. This decision's yours." It was true, also a test. I looked at Lisa, pretended not to care. Inside, though, there was a faint hope. "As long as you don't sign, Just as she was about to open the file, her phone lit up, noted the caller ID and urgently answered it. All right, no worries, wait for me in the car. After hanging up, she glared at me. Annoyed, you chased Tom out with security? Then tell me whether to promote him? Before I could respond, she slapped me hard. My face burning, you can't tolerate an intern? Or are you scared he'll steal whatever little spotlight you have? I chuckled dryly. Every complaint Tom made, she never cared if I followed protocol or not, always siding with him. I've been in the corporate world long enough to know how to handle a young punk. The more I tried to address it, the more she hated me. The weaker I got, the more justified she felt. My heart was filled with bitter resignation, with nowhere to vent, so I just chose to keep quiet. The woman, her chest heaving with anger, grabbed her purse and was about to leave. I softly called out to her, telling her to sign first so HR could process her regularization. Lisa's eyes were full of irritation. She grabbed a pen, quickly signed her name, and hurried away. I gave a self-mocking smile. If she'd just glanced, she'd have seen the divorce papers tucked inside the regularization application. But every time something involving Tom came up, she seemed to turn into someone else, losing all reason. Lisa and I were put together by our parents' insistence, a union of necessity. From the beginning, it lacked a foundation in love. I had started pursuing her back in college but never got a response. Later, we became work partners only because our skills matched. 3 years after the company was founded, she mentioned her parents were pressuring her. She asked if I'd be willing to marry her quickly to silence the gossip. So we skipped the dating phase and dove straight into marriage. I always thought she, as a career-driven woman, was naturally indifferent, valuing her career above all else. But then I came across her diary by accident. That's when I found out she had always been mourning someone, her late love, Felix. I didn't have the heart to resent a dead man, and even felt pity for her. Then Tom came along. He resembled Felix quite a bit. It turned our usually composed and self-restrained CEO into a mess. Her typically decisive nature crumbled in his presence. She even got drunk in front of me and sighed, "I wish we had been born at the same time. I hate that we weren't. Why was I so impulsive to get married in the first place?" Seeing her blurry eyes and tear-streaked face felt like a dagger twisting in my heart. I once believed that even without passionate love, our marriage was a good example of love developing after marriage. But Tom's arrival turned our 5-year partnership into a mistake birthed from impulse. I smiled bitterly, wanting to argue, but felt as if something was choking my throat. "So, you really regret being with me? What do these 5 years mean to you then?" I couldn't help but ask that time. She just gave a dreamy smile, looking far away as if seeing her hopes from the void. I feel so old now. Standing next to him feels like we're from different worlds. How could I ever be worthy of him? She didn't realize those words completely extinguished the last spark of hope I had inside. That's when I realized I was the discarded past tense. She thought even explaining these 5 years to me was a waste of breath. I never brought up her drunken confessions again. To drink to such point with her resistance was clearly intentional. Who knows how tangled her emotions were inside. I had been a coward, convincing myself to ignore it all. As long as she stayed by my side, as long as the company ran smoothly, I could busy myself and not think about their ambiguous interactions or listen to the colleagues' whispers. But they became increasingly arrogant. At company events, they'd openly exchange glances, attending major business events together, leaving little space for me, the husband. Even on our 5-year anniversary last Monday, she was absent. Despite her promise to show up, she disappeared for 48 hours without answering her phone or messages. I was so worried I started searching everywhere, thinking something had happened. Coincidentally, a major client we had discussions with wanted to meet the company head. Her failure to show made me angry with disappointment. We knew the client's corporate culture and style. Getting to meet the head was almost a guaranteed contract. This deal was crucial to patching up gaps caused by her past missteps. But Lisa, usually reliable, couldn't be reached. The client, feeling slighted, turned to our competitor. In the grand scheme of life, these matters seemed minor. But just as I was about to report her missing, I saw her Facebook post assuring she was fine. An obnoxious photo and some eye-catching text. She wore a childish pink skirt, riding a carousel she once deemed childish, holding cotton candy she never liked. The post read, "Found pure joy in this happy place, because you're here." When she returned, I, barely having slept for 2 days, asked tiredly, "Where did you go, and with whom?" She turned to blame me. "I just went to meet a friend." Why blow up my phone like a maniac? A meeting? Disappearing with an intern? Who could she really be meeting? In that instant, I felt something inside me crumble. The hope, love, and affection I held vanished, blown away like candle flames in a storm, leaving behind a cold ash. I didn't say another word. Holding the signed divorce papers, I felt an unexpected sense of relief. I pulled out my phone and called a business giant who once offered me a lofty job. "John, you mentioned needing a head for your overseas branch. Still interested?" He was delighted to hear from me. "You're willing to join us? That's fantastic. Larry, your skills in business development and management are top-notch. Just say the word, and I'll make the arrangements. You'll get better compensation too. If Lisa won't let you go, I'll personally talk to her. How does that sound?" John was a well-known business mogul. His wife had been my college professor. While Lisa's company was on an upward trajectory, it had its financial and talent resource shortcomings, limiting its growth. John had long wanted me to join his team to expand his business. I had always refused. After all, this company was started by my wife and me. It's like our child. Looking back, I was so short-sighted and stubborn, giving up such a good opportunity. "Thanks, John, I'll work hard." When Lisa came back, I was writing my resignation letter. She didn't look at me, just focused on messing with her phone since she walked in. After her shower, she sat at the vanity, drying her wet hair. "Larry, I'll be flying to City A for a conference in a few days. Keep an eye on things at the company." She always does that. One minute she slaps me in the face, and the next, she's assigning me work like nothing ever happened. It's like the conflict never even existed. This probably has a lot to do with me constantly giving in. Our relationship is so fragile that I'm afraid it'll shatter without warning. I can only pretend not to care and go along with it again and again. Now, it seems that forcing those conflicts aside doesn't work. When she finished drying her hair, she came over to the bed and leaned down to kiss me. I instinctively turned my head to the side. The kiss landed on my chin. We were both a bit surprised by our actions. Usually, I'm the one seeking affection from her. Tonight, she made the move and I dodged. I closed my laptop and said softly, "Let's sleep. It's late." Lisa frowned slightly. "What's wrong?" I coughed dismissively. "Got a cold. Don't want to pass it to you." Lisa didn't doubt it and switched the topic. "Mike from Sunrise Group wants to have dinner with me this Friday. Come with me." I didn't look at her. "Okay." We don't often attend business meals together as a couple. To maintain appearances and because we have different social styles and approaches. Going solo often plays to our strengths better. We secure more benefits and opportunities for the company that way. For these kinds of dinners, she usually just takes her secretary. However, her once well-coordinated secretary was fired by her for offending Tom. Tom, who's all show and no substance, isn't good with people, not capable, and can't handle his drinks. Now he's of no help at all. No wonder Lisa wanted me. After turning off the lights, we each went to bed. The next day, I met up with some good friends for drinks, kind of like a farewell, but I didn't spell it out. They could only guess, thinking it was about a failed romance. As we were having a good time, I saw Lisa and Tom leaving the restaurant. The friends knew we were a couple. Lisa's expression was a bit awkward. Obviously, she didn't want Tom to know she was married, and she didn't want him to realize I was her husband. "What are you doing here?" she asked casually. "As you can see, hanging out with the guys." I answered calmly. My buddies, feeling indignant for me, started to tease with a bit of spite. "Hey, isn't this Lisa's little sidekick? You really gotta stick so close?" Even after work, Lisa's gotta bring her personal assistant along. Seems like this sidekick's quite dedicated. Lisa's face darkened. She glared at me before retorting, "If you're drunk, just go home. Don't make low-level jokes like this." Tom hurriedly explained, "You misunderstood, we're just learning business from Lisa, purely work-related." This chance encounter was unpleasant for anyone. Lisa was eager to leave, but one of my friends stopped her. "Lisa, Larry here. Not sure what's up with him today. Drank quite a bit. He can't get home by himself. Why don't you give him a ride?" As soon as he said that, Tom turned his head, half puzzled, half annoyed. "Sir, if Larry's drunk, just call a cab. Why let Lisa drive him?" Anyone could see how I felt about Lisa. Tom was no exception. So he wasn't friendly towards us, especially since we didn't share a route. One friend was so angry he was about to get up and hit him. Lisa quickly stepped between them. "You dare touch him? Try it." Her protective stance for Tom made my friend's blood boil. Pointing at her, he said, "Lisa, you better not push me. Tell this pretty boy right now what you and Larry really are." Lisa's face turned cold as she glared at him. "None of your business, you have no right to interfere." Tom, behind her, slightly raised his chin. That arrogant and provocative demeanor was a daily show. But in that moment, it was gasoline on the fire. My friend almost lost control. Just as he was about to flip, I put a hand on his shoulder. Then I smiled at Lisa. "My friend's just drunk. You can go." Lisa breathed a sigh of relief, eager to leave. Yet Tom pushed further. "Lisa, what did he mean by your relationship with Larry?" Lisa's eyes showed a hint of panic. I felt helpless yet amused. Breaking the awkwardness, I said, "Lisa and I were college classmates. We've been friends for years." Tom looked at me with doubt. He wanted to ask more, but saw Lisa's unhappy face, so he dared not dig deeper. Lisa shot me a confused look, then continued to leave quickly. My wife, before all my friends, left with another man. And I had to stand up and say, "We're just friends." How sad. How funny. No need to say more. It's all drowned in the bottle. It was past midnight when I got home. Not wanting to disturb Lisa, I slept in the study. The next day at work, I saw her at the office. She was sitting on the couch in my office, like she was waiting for me on purpose. I thought she wanted to talk about last night, but instead, she surprised me. "I missed our anniversary last week. I know you were upset. Let's leave early today and make up for it." I didn't expect that, almost felt it was unnecessary. But I didn't want her cold shoulder all day. It's hard to focus at work like that. So I quickly replied, "Let's go to that French restaurant nearby." I know she loves French food, so I just went with it. Honestly, I wasn't too upset about the anniversary being missed for the 5th year. Even before Tom, she was always half-hearted about it. Either she wouldn't celebrate or she'd bail. She chose the day we got our marriage license to fall on Felix's death anniversary. Who would have thought? Before leaving work, I brought Lisa Tom's job transfer form to review. The position field was blank. I told her, "You fill it in yourself to make it official. Avoid any disputes." HR and I didn't know what suitable role we could give to someone not even fully qualified. It was up to Lisa to decide. Without hesitation, she wrote vice president and signed on the next page. I reminded her to do it in duplicate, one for the employee and one for HR records. She signed right away. As I filed away the documents, I felt a bit dazed. I had once tricked her into signing a resignation form the same way. She never noticed. To keep things unnoticed, we left the office at different times. Lisa actually came this time. She adjusted her dress slightly as she sat down, starting a conversation with me. I tried this place with a client once and fell in love with it. The meals were served gradually. She pushed her favorite seafood soup towards me and said, "This French seafood soup is really authentic. You should try it. We don't usually relax like this." If she had given me this much attention before, I'd be overjoyed. But now I just quietly stared at the shellfish in the soup, which I'm allergic to. I didn't touch it. Noticing my lack of enthusiasm, she was a bit annoyed. "Why aren't you drinking it?" I had told her before about my allergy. I even ended up in the ER once just to please her. But she'd forgotten all that. Just when I was about to say something, her phone rang. She answered with just a few words before her tone turned hurried and anxious. "Don't overthink. I'm coming." In a rush, she ran towards the door, forgetting her bag. Returning to grab it, she finally remembered I was still there. She brushed it off with, "I got something urgent to handle, you finish eating." I nodded, sipped some French cream mushroom soup, and said calmly, "All right, drive safe." Maybe I was too calm. Lisa paused, puzzled, but remembered she had more important things to attend to and left. Staring at the table full of French cuisine made me lose my appetite. But I didn't want to waste it, so I forced myself to eat. I didn't expect to still have a reaction. Even though I avoided the seafood soup, the shrimp paste in other dishes got in. Soon, I broke out in hives, itching unbearably. Breathing became more laborious. Leaving the restaurant, I thought I could make it to the hospital. But then my stomach started hurting too. At that moment, I had plenty of people I could call for help or even ask passersby. But instinctively, I took out my phone and called Lisa. After dozens of unanswered calls, I gave up. The waves of pain crashing over me made it impossible to think straight. Ideas of asking nearby strangers or friends for help seemed out of reach. I hunched over, leaning against a streetlight, my phone trembling in my hand. The next moment, darkness enveloped me, and I passed out. When I woke up, Good Samaritans had gotten me to the hospital. A nurse shook her head at me saying, "You were brought in unconscious, covered in hives, severely allergic. Were you trying to kill yourself with allergens?" She continued, "Thank goodness you got here in time. Don't take risks with your life over food again. Where are your family? Why isn't anyone here with you?" I lay in the hospital bed, hazy, memories of Lisa swirling, sweet and cold intertwined. Feeling her absence in my crisis, yet seeing Tom's lovey-dovey post. My first time cooking for her and I got hurt. "I'm so clumsy, but at least I fixed it quickly." He posted a pic with a bandaged finger and a woman's hand. Clearly, it was Lisa's hand. Defeated, I said, "Family's busy. Can't come. Work's important, but you can't neglect family. Are your parents or wife around?" I tugged at my lip, silent. Mom and Dad are long gone, and my wife's become someone else's. Lisa didn't show up until the next day of observation. "Why are you suddenly in the hospital?" she asked. I thought of the 10+ calls I made before passing out. She hadn't even called back, only texted, "What happened?" Lowering my gaze, I told her, "Allergic reaction. Doctor says I might get discharged today." Pausing, I asked her, "That urgent matter all sorted out?" Lisa paused, "Yeah, all done." She glanced at her watch. "Since you're okay, I'll go back to the company. Let me know when you're discharged. I'll pick you up. Don't forget we're meeting Mike from Sunrise tonight." I wanted to say no, but Lisa left before I could. Leave it to her to get every bit of use out of me. The nurse said I could get discharged. I picked up my phone to call Lisa. "Larry, I'm busy here. Can't get away. No need to check in on Mike either." Before I could get a word out, she was already speaking. "Lisa, are the cupcakes good? After those, you'll have to take me out." I felt a wave of nausea. Turns out she was too busy flirting with Tom. Fine, not like I was in any shape to face Mike anyway. If Tom's into that, power to him. I didn't call her out. I just called a ride back. My visa was sorted for the next Monday, so I booked a flight for Tuesday. Lisa's supposed to fly to City A for a meeting the same day. Leaving on the same day was just a coincidence. When I first thought about leaving, I started gradually handing my work over to my assistant. When she was confused, I just told her I was going on a business trip. She took over everything with dedication, ensuring a smooth transition. The night before leaving, Lisa happened to be unpacking and saw my side of the closet was empty. She seemed puzzled. "Where are your clothes?" I hadn't thought of a reason yet when she noticed the suitcase by the side. Realizing something, she asked, "Are you going somewhere?" To avoid drama, I went with it. "There's an issue with the project in the States. I need to be away for about a week." Lisa didn't understand. "You need to take all your clothes?" I nodded. "If things don't get sorted, who knows how long I'll be gone." Lisa seemed unconcerned since she was never too invested in my projects as long as they were profitable. "What about the company?" she asked. I reassured her that everything was set. She nodded. There was an odd silence in the air. The distance between us seemed to stretch further at that moment. I'll leave for City A tomorrow evening. Can drop you at the airport first. To keep things simple and without revealing too much, I agreed. The next morning, Lisa drove me to the airport. The conversation was sporadic. I used to cling to her and chat endlessly on our drives. Now she asked and I answered. During this tense atmosphere, she suddenly got a call. After she hung up, she turned to me. Something's come up at work. I need to head back. Can I drop you at the next intersection so you can catch a cab? I stared out of the window, feeling bitter inside but kept my tone light. Sure. If she knew this drive to the airport was our last time together, would she regret running off at Tom's call? While waiting at the airport, someone shared a video in our group chat. I clicked to watch. In the video, Tom was surrounded by colleagues. Lisa brought a big cake over and everyone cheered. Then they started goofing around. Tom smeared cream on Lisa's face. Instead of getting mad, she laughed happily. Wow, Tom's 22nd birthday is quite the celebration. Tom's a lucky guy, Lisa's pulling all stops. Was this urgent matter why she ditched me? Couldn't help but chuckle. She didn't really have to lie to me. Once it was time, I shut off my phone and boarded the plane. From now on, I'd begin a new chapter. Lisa returned from City A 2 days later. The empty bedroom felt eerily silent. Past scenes of me chatting away at home started replaying in her mind. An indescribable emptiness washed over her. She suddenly realized she hadn't contacted me. She dialed my number but only heard, "The number you have dialed is unavailable. Please try again later." Brows furrowed. She sent me a message. "Larry, what's this about?" Feeling frustrated with no reply, she noticed all my things seemed gone. Even though I only took one suitcase, it seemed like I had moved out completely. Anxiety crept in. At work the next day, the receptionist handed her a package. Before she opened it, HR walked in. "Lisa, you're back. Here's a report on recent company personnel changes for your decisions." Lisa nodded. "Go on." "Tom was officially appointed VP last week. But without your guidance, departments struggled with his directives." "Got it," Lisa interrupted. "I'll mentor him. He has potential." "What else?" "Clara's now under Tom, but..." "Wait, isn't Clara Larry's secretary? Who rearranged this without consulting me?" Lisa joked. "Are you kidding? Larry's resigned. You signed his resignation yourself." Lisa paused, the word resignation echoing in her ears. She pulled out a divorce agreement from the package. My work overseas was going well. For 3 months, I deliberately ignored matters back home, adjusting to my new rhythm. Even my friends didn't hear from me much. One day, a friend told me Lisa was furious and couldn't eat for days after seeing the divorce papers. She claimed she didn't remember signing them. "Yeah, right, as if she wasn't ready for the divorce," he joked. She threatened the HR for letting me go, but my resignation had her signature. Everything was in order. I just laughed it off. I had used some strategy to quickly exit, sure, but I didn't harm her in any way. As for the marital home, I proposed a fair 50-50 split with no further claims. About quitting. She's already promoted Tom to VP and seems like she doesn't need me anymore. Maybe she just can't believe I actually asked for a divorce. This woman reached out to everyone she could, saying she'd look for me everywhere until she found me. I used to love her so much, taking care of her with all I had. I guess she got used to it. That's why it took her a while to notice something was off with me. For the past 6 months, she thought I was just jealous of Tom and intentionally giving him a hard time. How many cold shoulders did I get from her? She had no clue about the mess Tom was making. I quietly cleaned up the company's messes thanks to him, and she was oblivious. After I quit, I heard Clara got fed up with Tom's antics too and left. Before she left, she exposed that Tom messed up big time by sending the company's main product's cost price to competitors. The shareholders group chat blew up, forcing Lisa to take the heat for it. But since I used my contacts and negotiation skills to flip the situation before, they managed to avoid a price war. And I even made a detailed and forward-thinking marketing plan for the product before leaving. So, there wasn't much they could say. I didn't bring this up in front of Lisa earlier because I didn't want to add pressure on her. I mean, she was the one who brought him in, and such a rookie mistake would surely get her some backlash from the company veterans. Later, I thought about telling her, but then I felt it wasn't necessary. If she's so keen on this guy, let him stay at the company. No point in me getting involved. After our video call, I did a quick online work report with John. Turns out, Lisa was still asking around and somehow got to John. She kept pestering, asking when I'd be back. John told her what I told him before. If things are going well at the branch, I've no plans to come back before retirement. After hearing that, she was stunned. Larry, what's going on with you two? She also wanted John to tell me she absolutely doesn't agree with the divorce. Knowing John hadn't told Lisa my exact whereabouts was a relief. Though I knew Lisa's stubborn nature would never just let us be separated for a year or two. She'll come around to just get the divorce papers. We're just one decision away, but not now. The overseas company is just getting on track, and I can't leave. I searched for Lisa's icon. I set her to do not disturb and didn't check her messages. When I finally opened the chat, it was full of messages from her. She wasn't such a nag before. Larry, why did you lie about the divorce? You coward, say it to my face. If you keep being stubborn, I'll really be mad. All of it was just her asking me to go back and explain. But didn't I already? Besides the divorce agreement, I also sent her a voice recorder. She got drunk a couple of times and I recorded her professing feelings for Tom. I wanted her to feel some guilt towards me. Now I just want her to see herself clearly, so she won't waste time with this half-hearted marriage. I don't have to cater to her feelings anymore. I don't have to worry about what I can or can't say. No more stressing over her crazy antics to look young and how they might hurt her health. During the company's growth, she wasn't slacking like Tom. Yet she kept joining him on bungee jumping, rock climbing, surfing, those extreme sports. Her heart isn't in the best shape. I'd advise her to take it easy, but I just get yelled at for not understanding her passions. Now I'm done worrying. Feeling good. This little episode aside, things are normal. But Lisa back home has started harassing my friends. Since they didn't know where I was, she used public opinion against them as a wronged woman, claiming they were covering for this jerk and pushed them into the spotlight. The internet was suddenly full of outrage against me and my friends. It was laughable. At first, she insisted on a hidden marriage. Now, to avoid a divorce, she made our 5-year marriage public. Why? What's wrong with keeping both the marriage and the divorce under wraps? Not wanting to drag my friends into this, I booked a flight back home. Lisa wasn't dressing up young anymore. Her usual work clothes looked loose because she'd lost some weight. When I saw her, I said straight up, if we can get this over with quickly, I don't need the house. I'm okay starting fresh, not hurting for money. Lisa paused while sipping her coffee. She looked at me and said, I don't want a divorce. I laughed. Come on, it wasn't easy to come back. With any other guy, they would have gone crazy on Tom, let alone me showing restraint. Isn't that enough? Lisa was silent. She knew I had the upper hand in negotiations. Going against me wasn't a smart move. I'm not involved with Tom like you think. It's true, I was drawn to his energy, but I know it wasn't love. I've never crossed that line. The person I truly love has always been Felix. I filled in for her. So all your few social media posts are about him, your diary is about him, and you even picked our marriage registration date on his death anniversary. Planning to use our marriage to honor your lost love? No, it's not like that. My parents saw me dwelling on him again that year and pressured me. I just picked that day by coincidence. You believe me? I do, I said plainly. And then you still fell for Tom. I saw Felix in him and wanted to make up for the regrets. I ignored you, but now I've realized. Can you forgive me? One meeting couldn't solve it, and that didn't surprise me. I looked at her and said, let's talk when you're thinking straight. Without another word, I turned and walked away. The next afternoon, I dropped by the office. Lisa was surprised and happy. Larry, did you come to see me? I looked at her calmly. You've been avoiding the divorce topic, so I had to find you. She looked helpless immediately. Is divorce the only option for us? I didn't answer, but my cold demeanor said it all. Lisa looked heartbroken. She had seen this rational side of me, but only in negotiations, never towards her. Larry, you're back. My old colleagues recognized me and came to greet me. I just smiled. I've quit. Just call me Larry. No, Lisa interjected. The doors of the company are always open for you. No need, I replied. I have a good job now. Larry, stop being so stubborn. I've already fired Tom. Isn't that enough? How about taking my position? After entering Lisa's office, she started talking to herself. I found out from Clara later on that you took on so much. I used to be so stubborn. Many projects I couldn't handle, you found ways to help in the background, even spending money out of your pocket. Otherwise, the company couldn't have grown so fast. Tom caused trouble everywhere, but I saw him through rose-colored glasses and let him hurt you over and over. After a moment, tears welled up in her eyes as she choked out, I've missed you a lot lately. Please don't leave. Her words made me chuckle. I raised an eyebrow and said, what makes you think I'd wait around for you? What if another young guy who looks like Felix shows up? Are we doing the whole making up for regrets act again? Hearing that, she hung her head. After a long pause, she asked, do you really not love me anymore? I was taken aback and turned to look out the window. Love or not, it's never decided in a moment. When disappointment builds up, you can't keep loving. Not anymore. Hearing that, she finally gave up. All right, we'll get the divorce papers tomorrow. I was a bit surprised by how smoothly it went. But for me, as long as the paperwork is done, that's fine. The next day, I brought my documents to the office. I suddenly remembered when she dragged me to get our marriage license. Besides the rush and confusion, I was mostly excited. Now, I'm actually smiling with relief because I'm about to be free. With the divorce papers in hand, I gave Lisa a simple goodbye and left, not caring that she cried and ruined her makeup behind me. The day before going abroad, I ran into Tom at the hotel I was staying at. His eyes were like a hungry wolf, eager to attack. Larry, you're leaving. Why are you back? I laughed in disbelief. Here I was, doing him a favor, and he's all worked up without even knowing the details. Back for the divorce. Isn't that what you wanted? Is it for the divorce or to meddle again? Are you upset seeing me doing well and trying to ruin everything? I looked at him. I don't get your point. You've got a thick skin, don't you? Who leaves and then comes back to take what they've given up? What spell have you cast on Lisa? Since you left, she's telling me not to work at the company. No matter how much I try to win her over, her mind's elsewhere. I even cut my wrists and she just glanced at me and told me to stop fooling around. Now that you're back, she says she won't support me any longer. You old man? Who do you think you are? Trying to steal my woman? My eyes fell on his wrist. Sure enough, it was wrapped in thick bandages. Seems like the guy just got himself a setup for a cushy life and now he's losing it just as quickly. Lisa, even now, you tell me you didn't cross boundaries? Tom, you should take some time to improve yourself. With your average skills and looks, finding someone to take care of you isn't easy. You lucked out because you resemble her heartthrob. When I said this, Tom got angry. The look in his eyes turned vicious once more. What did you say? Heartthrob? You pathetic fool, she doesn't even want you, and you're here clinging pathetically. I look like her heartthrob? You're not actually going to say you're her heartthrob, are you? Who wants to be like you, old man? He didn't even realize he was just a stand-in. I felt sorry for the guy. Not wanting to waste more time, I turned to leave. Then, out of nowhere, Tom lost it, rushing over and grabbing my throat violently. Die, just die already. Then Lisa won't think of you. She'll be mine alone. She'll take care of me. I've got no education, no good background. All I have is Lisa. She spoils me. It's because you've been poisoning her mind that she's distracted. With you gone, she'll come back to me. His voice kept rising in pitch, laced with madness. Probably because of his crazed state, his strength was terrifying. No matter how much I struggled, he wouldn't let go. I want you dead. With his final yell, he shoved me with full force down the stairs. I tumbled headlong over and over. In the last moment before losing consciousness, I heard Tom laugh. Ha ha ha. Now Lisa's mine. When I awoke, a friend was sitting beside me. Larry, don't move too much. You've got a broken leg in a cast and a big lump on your head. The doctor just patched you up. So take it easy so you don't end up with any lasting damage. Don't worry, that punk is already taken by the cops for attempted murder. He'll be sitting out a few years in jail. I shook my head in despair. I really underestimated Tom's craziness. John was in to see you, just left not long ago. He said to heal up first, don't rush your trip abroad. After speaking, he looked toward the door. She's been outside your room the whole time. If you don't want to see her, I can send her off. I knew who my friend was talking about and replied directly, I don't want to see her. Maybe because Tom's attack on me was so deliberate. Lisa felt guilty. When she heard that I woke up and didn't want to see her, she just obediently stayed outside the hospital room. During my recovery in the hospital, despite being a busy CEO, she cooked soup for me herself. She'd sneak into my room at night to tuck me in. Sometimes, she'd even quietly press the back of my hand against her face while I was asleep. Here's some weird stuff to say. Sorry, Larry. Her tears are so hot. They wake me up every time. But I didn't call her out on it. Larry, will you forgive me? No. Felix was my obsession, but I realized you're the one I love. Am I too late to confess? You are. I promise I'll change. No need. She says something, and I reply in my head, until her voice starts to choke up. Larry, don't leave me. I don't open my eyes but still answer her. Lisa, let me go. She finally starts to cry, rushing into my arms. She says I'm too much. You came into my heart, and now you say these cruel things. I love you. I just realized it too late. Can't you forgive me for that? I give up arguing with her. She just doesn't get it. Back when she was all about Tom, our love was cheap and obvious. The truth isn't that she loves me. Tom didn't live up to her dreams of Felix, so she thought she could stick around in our marriage. I'm just her safest bet. No right or wrong, just a safe choice. I'm not taking a 3-month break to recover here in the country. Turns out my old assistant Clara wants to stick with me. So I got a wheelchair and plan to leave the country soon. Lisa doesn't know this yet. The day I was set to leave the hospital, she made me a pot of amazing chicken soup. I wasn't going to say goodbye, but I softened up eventually. I told Clara, have Lisa come over. I've got something to say. Lisa pushed me around the hospital for a walk. She thought I was coming around to her. She talked a lot. I was kind of zoning out. I once dreamed of a marriage where we shared everything. Is this it? But now all I want is to say goodbye. So I finally said, Lisa, I saw you visiting his grave the day you asked to marry me. She froze. I smiled and said, I saw your teary eyes and said yes, thinking I could warm your heart. Guess I was wrong. Lisa choked back tears. I'm sorry. She slowly knelt in front of me. Larry, you don't have to accept me. But please don't doubt my love. I really do love you. Maybe. But it doesn't matter now. She seems to understand this is our last meeting. With a sad smile, she asks, anything else? One more thing, Lisa, never again.